darling heart, and welcome to this episode of the Drink Less, Live Better podcast. This is the podcast that helps you to see that drinking less doesn't need to be stressful, lonely, or boring. I'm your host, Sarah Williamson, and I decided to have a year alcohol-free as a little life experiment and haven't looked back. I'm here to support you with your alcohol-free or drink less adventures. Follow me on Instagram at drinklesslivebetter. Find resources on my website, drinklesslivebetter.com. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let's get straight to it. The truth about our judgments. When we say no judgment here, we're trying to create a space for vulnerability. The phrase no judgment here perhaps reveals a slightly uncomfortable truth if we look beyond the words. We are constantly making judgments at the same time as trying to deny their existence. Judgment is woven into the very fabric of our being, our society. From the moment we wake up, our brains efficiently categorise experiences as good or bad, safe or dangerous, worthy of attention or dismissible. This evolutionary mechanism helped our ancestors survive, allowing quick decision-making in threatening situations. We are judging to survive and judging to thrive. However, judgment does extend far beyond survival. We judge people's appearances, beliefs, decisions, and values. We judge ourselves against other people. We judge others against our personal standards. This constant evaluation shapes our relationships, influences our decisions, and defines our identities. I frequently say to my boys, and of course they don't thank me for this, but I say, don't judge other people by your standards. And it's really useful to keep in mind, not that teenagers are interested in that. I say it as much for myself as I do for them. So, why the common refrain of no judgment here? Why do people say it? I think in part it's because we recognise judgment's power to harm. If we are openly judgmental, we do create barriers between ourselves and other people. We reduce complex humans to simple labels, either smart or stupid, worthy or unworthy, good or bad. This diminishes both the judged and the judge. I was recently asked to go on jury service, and at the last minute I wasn't required to attend, and I was so grateful. Even though I spent 15 years working in youth justice, I didn't want to do it. I did not want to be a part of the jury for that simple reason. I didn't feel like judging. We could have a whole other conversation about moral duty to be on a jury, but I was just glad I didn't have to go and do the thing I did not really want to do. Our judgment blind spots are numerous, and because they're blind spots, obviously we don't see them. First, we judge through our personal lens of experience, mistaking our perspective on life for objective truth. What seems lazy to one person might actually be conservation of energy during illness for someone else. What looks like rudeness might actually be cultural difference or neurodivergence. We also fall victim to confirmation bias, noticing evidence that supports our existing judgments whilst easily overlooking contradictory information. Once we decide someone is untrustworthy, we'll interpret neutral actions as suspicious. Perhaps most dangerously, we're often unaware of our judgments. Implicit biases operate below conscious awareness, influencing our behaviour despite our best intentions. We might pride ourselves on being open-minded whilst unconsciously favouring those who actually resemble us. Becoming more aware of our judgment requires deliberate practice. Try some of these approaches. Cultivate curiosity. When you feel judgment arising, ask, what might I be missing? Or what could explain this behaviour that I haven't thought about? Notice your body's signals. Judgment often manifests physically. Tension in your shoulders, a knot in your stomach, a clenched jaw. These sensations can alert you to judgments forming before they fully crystallise. That gut feeling, listen to it. Make sure you distinguish between discernment and judgment. So, how does that play out? Let's try this. Discernment helps us to make wise choices without attaching moral weight. So, this person consistently breaks commitments is discernment. This person is bad because they break commitments is judgment. Do you think you judge yourself? I do. Our harshest judgments are often directed inward. We say we're our own worst critics for a reason. By treating ourselves with kindness, perhaps we can cultivate the ability to view others with similar generosity. Perhaps the most powerful shift comes from recognising that judgment itself isn't inherently problematic, it's what we do with it. When judgment becomes rigid, when it closes us off from connection and understanding, it does diminish our humanity. But when we hold our judgments lightly, with humility and openness to revision, the understanding that we might be wrong, judgment can be a starting point for deeper understanding. So perhaps instead of saying, no judgment here, we might more honestly say, I recognise I have judgments. I'm committed to holding them lightly, and I seek to understand you better. Yeah, I know it's not as snappy, but hopefully it's a little bit more honest, a little bit more human. I think you'll agree. Check out the show notes for a link to a hidden podcast episode that will help you with your 5 p.m. cravings and details about my one-to-one life coaching and sober coaching programs. And P.S. I believe in you.